Our bodies are constantly under siege by a multitude of disease-causing organisms. Fortunately, the body has multiple defenses to defeat these invading hordes. This topic will provide a big-picture overview of these defenses, while subsequent topics will delve into each defense system in more detail. Your goals for learning are to describe the general functions of the immune system, to describe the key characteristics of the common types of pathogens that can attack our bodies, to name the 3 lines of defense and outline their properties, to distinguish between innate and adaptive immunity based on 4 key characteristics, to understand the definitions of antigen and antibody, to distinguish between humoral and cell-mediated immunity and the location of the pathogens they target. Here's what you need to know. Lymphocytes are a type of white blood cell. The difference between proteins, carbohydrates, and nucleic acids. To see definitions of terms, click the bold red words. The immune system has 2 major functions: to destroy disease-causing organisms, also called pathogens, that enter the body, and to detect and kill abnormal cells, such as cancerous cells, within the body. In addition, some cells of the immune system remove dead cells and other debris from within the body. We will explore each of these in subsequent topics, but for a quick preview, click a pathogen.
To effectively defend your body, you need to know your enemy. Pathogens can be classified according to size and where they live in the body. The largest pathogens are the multicellular organisms, such as parasitic worms. All of the others are called microorganisms because you need a microscope to see them. Next, smaller than worms are fungi, and the single-cell eukaryote pathogens, such as the protozoan that causes malaria. Smaller still are bacteria, and the smallest of all are viruses.
Click a pathogen for a close-up view, or click the Sergeant to continue.
Viruses must enter cells and seize control of the intercellular machinery to reproduce themselves. Eventually, they leave their host cells to find their next victim. Bacteria, protozoa, and fungi sometimes hide in cells to escape detection from the immune system, but are most often found outside cells. Naturally, given their size, parasitic worms always live in the extracellular environment.
Because there is such a wide variety of pathogens, we need a corresponding breadth and depth of defense. Like a medieval castle, the immune system has 3 main lines of defense against the invading hordes that besiege it. Let's examine each one in the order that a pathogen would encounter them. Click the castle wall to see the first line of defense. The first line of defense consists of the surface barriers to entry, also called innate external defenses. Like the walls of the castle, the skin and mucous membranes form this barrier. Like the moat surrounding the walls, many of the body's barriers are coated in secretions such as mucus and tears. Click a guard to see the second line of defense. The second line of defense in a castle consists of the guards who check everyone they encounter to determine if they are friend or foe. The body has similar defenses, cells and chemicals in body fluids that are always on the ready to attack and destroy anything they identify as foe. These defenses are called the innate internal defenses. Click the army to see the third line of defense. The guards can also call on the third line of defense the army. The body's armies are called the adaptive defenses. The adaptive defenses consist of 2 kinds of lymphocytes, B cells and T cells. It takes time to mobilize them and train them to fight an identified enemy. The innate defenses will be described in Topic 3, and the adaptive defenses will be described in Topics 4 through 6.
Friend or foe?
Foe?
When surface barriers and secretions are penetrated by an enemy, the innate internal defense mechanisms, acting as guards, step into action. As you will see in Topic 3, the innate defenses identify enemies by recognizing a limited number of markers unique to pathogens. When they recognize enemies, they attack immediately and often manage to eliminate the threat. When the innate defenses are overwhelmed, they secrete chemical messengers to mobilize the armies of adaptive defenses. The adaptive defenses differ from innate defenses in 4 key ways. First, they are specific, that is, they are directed against an identified enemy. For this reason, adaptive immunity is often referred to as specific immunity. Click the sergeant to see specificity.
Right, you lot! This is the enemy!
Second, adaptive immunity involves armies of identical clones of lymphocytes, the B cells and the T cells. Click a soldier to see B and T lymphocytes. Third, adaptive defenses have memory. This means that once they have encountered an enemy, they can recognize and more quickly defeat that same enemy if it ever invades the body again. This is why many of the illnesses of childhood, such as measles, only occur once. Click a soldier to see memory. Fourth, because lymphocytes move throughout the body on ceaseless patrol, adaptive immunity is able to react to an invasion anywhere in the body. In other words, adaptive defenses are systemic. Unlike the medieval soldiers, B cells and T cells don't have eyes. Instead, they play a game of blind man's bluff, touching everything they encounter and searching for a special shape that they recognize and to which they can bind. Click the soldier to have him find the special shape.
Enemy!
Click the enemy to find out more about these special shapes. The special shape that a particular lymphocyte recognizes is called an antigenic determinant and is formed by the three-dimensional structure of a large molecule called an antigen. Antigens are usually proteins, but can also be large carbohydrates or nucleic acids. The surface of any given pathogen is studied with many different antigens, each usually having many different antigenic determinants. In our soldier analogy, the enemy is the pathogen, the antigen is the enemy's face, and the antigenic determinant is just part of his face, in this case, the nose. Click an antigen to see its antigenic determinants. For simplicity, most people refer to antigenic determinants simply as antigens. We will do the same. Both B and T cells bind antigens. Protein molecules called antibodies also bind antigens. These antibodies, which play an important role in destroying pathogens, are secreted by the clonal descendants of B cells called plasma cells. We will learn more about antigens and their interactions with B and T cells in Topic 4. Drag the antibody to its antigenic determinant. Antibodies float freely in extracellular fluids such as the blood. These fluids, once called humors, like the vitreous and aqueous humors of the eye, can be transferred from one person to another, carrying the antibodies with them and thereby transferring immunity from one person to another. The branch of adaptive immunity that can be transferred via body fluids is called humoral immunity and involves B cells and the antibodies they ultimately produce. Humoral immunity is directed against extracellular pathogens. In contrast, the other branch of adaptive immunity cannot be transferred by transferring body fluids. It is called cellular immunity because it involves cells, the T cells, which directly attack other cells. The cells attacked by these T cells are cells of our own body. Under what circumstances do you think T cells attack cells of your own body? Click all that apply. To summarize what you have learned, complete this table by dragging phrases to their correct position. While it is important for you to keep these key points in mind, note that there are many interactions between cellular and humoral immunity. In fact, humoral immunity cannot function without cellular immunity in the form of helper T cells, whose function we will learn more about in Topic 6. Here's a summary of what we've covered. The immune system defends against pathogens and destroys cancerous cells. Common pathogens include viruses, bacteria, fungi, protozoa, and worms. Viruses are intracellular pathogens, whereas most other pathogens are extracellular. The immune system's three lines of defense are surface barriers, innate internal defenses, and adaptive defenses. Adaptive immunity differs from innate in that it is specific, involves B and T lymphocytes, has memory, and is systemic. Antigens are molecules that can be recognized by the immune system. Humoral immunity involves B cells and targets extracellular pathogens. Cellular immunity involves T cells and targets intracellular pathogens. To test your knowledge, click the quiz button to go to the self-quiz. To access cross-references for this topic in your Benjamin Cummings textbook, click here. To test your knowledge, click the quiz button to go to the self-quiz.